7 of them here. Usually there's 8, right? Or sometimes there's 8. Sometimes. Okay. But this is the core group here, the 7 of you. Well, just before we went live, these guys were, I love the fact how you guys were just eating off each other, just cracking each other up, and it's just like you obviously work together, not just with your music, but, just the way you, I'm sure you're all really good friends, and you could just see that, and just waiting before we went live and warming up and everything. It was really cool. So, just cracking jokes and just having a good old time. And this seems like the norm, right?
Yeah, we're very much a lot from time to time, but it's always fun. That's I think that's a big part of having a band that's successful, or you have to want to be there. I don't care how good the music is. If you guys don't like each other, then it's just going to be this constant fight or at each other's throats. Chore. Yeah, it'll be it won't be fun. Yeah. So we just try to every time. It's not like we don't have to try, but we just always try to have a good time, and it just ends up happening.
And then you have good music because of it.
Exactly. It's like a party.
Well, and thanks for saying that, because on your website or wherever I saw this, it was 7, sometimes 8 guys that want every show to be a party.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Accurate.
And so is every show a party for sure?
100%. Yeah, so far.
It's up to us.
Yeah.
So, when you say party, I mean, someone hears party and they imagine this, drinking, partying,
Someone goes
dancing,
to jail.
whatever, but what's that?
Someone goes to jail every time.
Yeah. Something wonderful and terrible happens every time. No, I'm kidding. It's a party where we're having drinks, but and enjoying ourselves, but we want you to dance too.
Mm-hmm.
This is at the end of the day, I hate genres, but we're a funk band basically.
Mm-hmm.
So our goal at the end of the day is for you to dance, for us to dance, and have a good time. And I think if you're watching a group and they're having a good time, then it kind of gives you permission to have a good time.
Yeah, it flows right into the audience. You got to have.
And that's a big thing, is audience participation.
Okay.
That's a very key point in our live show.
And you feed off that, I'm sure.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. It's I'm not a musician, that stands up there and tries to perform, but I can't imagine if the audience is not liking what they're hearing. That's got to be just death. Get me off the stage.
I think it makes us go harder if the audience isn't into it.
That's true.
Because it's like it's like a challenge to no, you're gonna dance.
We're gonna get to a point.
Damn it! I'm gonna I'm sorry. Just
no, exactly.
I just hear you guys say that.
All right, Pam. Yeah, 100%, Pam. No,
Spirit of it.
Yeah. If they're not having fun, then what's the point? It's kind of
beautiful symbiotic relationship.
I don't know what came over me there for a moment there. Sorry.
Good. We like that. Feed off of it.
Okay.
Come on.
Which is, and you're probably watching this going, okay, who's talking, whatever. So before we started, I said, well, who should I direct questions to, whatever, and they were like, all of us. So no one's really a leader in this band.
Yeah, as the leader of the group, there's really no leaders. What?
We're looking for a new bass player now, guys.
Yeah. Well, as the actual leader, I just have to say that there are no leaders.
As the sole proprietor of this operation, we're going to have some performance reviews after this.
Well, I should have done this sooner, but why don't we just go around and introduce yourselves? Give us your name.
My name is Rick Maroney, and I play bass in the band and do video work.
Okay.
My name is Mike Harris, and I'm the band leader and creator, founder, father. I play keys and guitar and sing sometimes.
And you write a lot of the music.
Songs, sometimes.
Okay.
My name's Eric Childress II. I play drums and percussion and do social media.
My name's Sean Perlmutter. I just play drums and percussion.
Don't say just.
It's a tall order. My name is Garrett Gaina. I play baritone sax, guitar, and kind of run booking. Although Dave booked this, so it's up in the air. Who cares?
Everybody, man.
I'm Chris Kendall. I do trombone and vocals.
I'm Dave Acella, and I do trumpet and vocals.
Okay. And it was nice because, we got the writer, someone does social media, someone does something else, and as a group, you guys it's not one person that has to handle the brunt of everything, because there's more to it than just playing your instruments and singing. So,
Absolutely.
I
all
sort
those-
of tried it at first. It didn't work very well.
To start leading, and everybody's like, no, we're all very much a team effort. Everybody's,
Well, let's talk about, first of all, there's so many of you, 7, sometimes 8, which is quite a large group. Did it start out smaller and you just keep adding, or how did this happen?
We started out, a few of us were in another band before this, and this horn section works separately by itself. We play with a cover band, that, Rick is in, and we've also played for other groups, like Sarah Barron. This horn section plays with Sarah Barron's group, So we just kind of threw an amalgamation of stuff together. Like, I play a lot with Mike and Sean in a separate jazz group, and, it kind of, it's like pickup basketball. You're always playing with a bunch of people all at once, in different settings at the same time. So we kind of just took what we already had and made it into this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it works.
We like to think so.
And that's a lot of times, especially like the horn section, that's a whole different sound. So was funk, your main thing, and that's what the sound that you wanted to go for, or just kind of happened that way?
I think this was definitely going to be like a funk band, or at least what I was told when I signed up. Someone said we're starting a funk band.
Me too.
But that means you're not the sole proprietor.
I mean, if that's changed, let me know. But, when I started this business myself from the ground with nothing, and then let you all freeload off my genius, that's where we started.
Yeah.
I love it, you guys. That's fun. Cool. All right. Well,
Like I said, it's tough to say. We started out as just like, we're gonna have a funk band where we do horn-driven funk, like a la Tower of Power and those kind of groups.
Okay.
And then we realized that we had singers in the group, and we've got songs that are fun and funny and kind of wacky and out there. We also have other songs that are
Yeah.
true. Peep the Instagram, everything.
A lot going on right now.
A lot going on.
At
TigerWoodsJr.com, Esquire, but we also have songs that are about a more tender, loving kind of thing, and we do. I think we have an aesthetic that we all like, and if it fits somewhere in that aesthetic, then we're happy with it. We're not like, we're making this, we're doing this kind of music. It's like, what comes out comes out.
well, yeah. And if you're coming up with a song, you're all jamming or whatever, to write a song, to make it. I would imagine you put some, even though you said you were the writer, put in your input. And when you're doing that, it's like you may have an idea, but it's going to go off in left field, and all of a sudden you got a great hit, a great song. So don't want to put yourself in a box anyway.
Oh, absolutely. Every song I do write is a hit. That is.
Every last one.
But that's absolutely right. It's more like I bring like a demo of a song to the group, and then in a rehearsal hangout session time in Rick's basement, it becomes the song that we play.
Yeah.
And then-
He plays it off of his phone, and then everybody looks at each other and goes, yeah, that's a song.
No, Mike brings in a full score. They're usually about 18 to 24 pages. And then we read them. And if we can't sight read them, he fines us $20 for each wrong note.
That's correct.
Oh my gosh, what a hoot!
In the
Okay,
true James Brown funk
It's
tradition.
my primary
Yes.
income.
Yes.
all right. Well, time for a song. Let's, we've been teasing everybody that's watching so far, and we need to get a song and
All right.
give them
So
a
we're
taste
going.
of what you got.
The first song I'm going to play is off of our last album, to kind of give you a taste of where we were, and we're going to play some songs off the new album in a second. But this is a song called "In My Life," written by Mike Harrison over here. Yeah. Up high and down low, how fast the moments start to slow. Whenever you come around, I never hear a sound.
but my beating heart. Let's start soon, but not yet. I need some time to realize what time I've already spent on words I always meant to say to you. It's about time I do. Come closer, baby. Come closer, baby. Come closer, baby. Come closer. As for the moon, I'll grab it out the sky for you. As for a tune, I'll croon like 1945 for you. As for nothing, I'll find something that you like. 'Cause I just want you in my life. As for the snow, I'll take you sledding in July. I promise I won't lie very much. It's such a blessing I can't try to disguise. 'Cause I just want you in my life. 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 Come closer, baby. 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 Ooh. As for my love, you'll only have to ask once, I promise. When times get tough, I won't run. Through fun and fights, I will be right here by your side. 'Cause I just want you. I just want you. I just want you. I just want you. I just want you, yeah. I just want you in my life. I just want you. I just want you. I just want you. Yeah. I just want you. Yeah. I just want you in my life.
Woohoo. Nice. And that was on your last CD? The first one.
First one, yes.
And you said you've got another one coming up.
Got another one coming out soon, May 27th.
All right. So this will be your.
Ish.
Ish.
30th.
The gig's on the 31st, so.
Yeah.
Try to
Our
have it
album
out.
release show will be on May 31st at the Blind Pig.
Okay. Oh, good place.
Yeah.
Ah, awesome. So, you said the first. So this will be your second full. Okay. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, the first one we did in a studio, and the second one we kind of took a studio with us and went out and did like a live tracking in the middle of the woods in
Shout
a
out to
distant
Interesting.
location.
Shout out to Pat
Pat Brennan bringing the all the gear with us. He literally brought a studio to the place. My dad has a place in in a remote location in the Michigan woods.
Undisclosed.
And we all took a weekend
secret.
and we just locked ourselves in this cabin all weekend and made music. And
So you were in the cabin, not in the woods. Okay. I
Yeah,
was
no,
like,
we-
well,
we
what
were
kind
in
of
the
sound
cabin.
were you
It
looking
was
for?
February. It would have been bad.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, there was a sheet of ice everywhere around.
When we
the
camped
cabin.
out, we buried ourselves because the ground is always a constant 55 degrees, and that kind of struggle is reflected in the music.
It was
Well,
actively
when you said
dangerous.
that in the woods at first, I thought, okay, there must be. I never heard of that, so must be, the bouncing off the trees or something is good. Okay, now
No,
I understand.
It was definitely bouncing off the cabin walls.
We
and
just
ceilings,
needed to
but-
not have neighbors.
Yeah.
So we could be loud.
Yeah.
You saw kind of the warm ups that was happening the minute everybody arrived, and
Yeah.
so that was just. I mean, we were there for 48 hours, and it was like 48 hours of nonstop playing.
Wow.
And occasionally, Pat would say, "Okay, guys, we got to hit record now," and then we'd be like, "Oh, okay, be quiet, be quiet. Let's hit record." All right, let's.
And then every song would go on for once we were actually done with the song, we'd probably keep going for another 15 minutes.
Yeah, we
and
have a
go
good.
to an entirely different place
Yeah.
that had nothing to do with the song.
And hopefully
itself.
the record was still going.
Absolutely.
Yes. Pat
Yes.
never hit stop until we were just like, okay, now cut. Like,
Yeah.
there were moments where Garrett left his sax and just hung out by the control while, everybody else was just, there was this, crazy percussion jams and just, it was quite a weekend.
I would imagine, okay, you said like no neighbors. You don't have to worry about trying to be quiet after,
No.
after 10, 11 o'clock, midnight, whatever. And,
Right.
just let loose. That really probably helped your music,
Yes.
the creativity part of
Right.
it. Yeah.
And just, the bonding and hanging out and camaraderie of just,
Yeah.
chilling out in the woods where
No running water.
no running water though. That
Oh,
was a drag. It was a thing.
can't.
Trial by fire.
Well, that's a bummer. Okay, but
Got stinky
Well-
by the end of the weekend.
yeah, all these people in the cabin. So that's cool. It's the creative end of it. You can just let loose and you just jam and see what comes up. And did you find yourself, making music that you had no clue you were going to start with? Did that happen a lot?
Well, we had a lot of extra stuff that just sort of came from the ether, and
Cool.
it some of us was really cool. Some of it's just like, oh well, this is like stream of consciousness, but some of it's like, oh, that's a nugget of something really cool right there.
Yeah, we can make a song out of
We can
that,
make a
like-
song out of that.
Yeah.
But what I thought was really one of my favorite parts about it was that when you're in the studio, you want to, like our last album, I wanted to get everything right, and we kind of were on crunch time when we did it, and it was like, okay, I just want to do it. I'm not going to take any risks because I'm going to like play this thing right and do it right. And with this one, we just had unlimited time. Like studio time's expensive.
Yeah.
So, like if you're like in a studio, you're like, okay, I got to make sure I do it right. But with this one, we're just hanging. And so some of the more loose tracks ended up being the ones that we used because
Yeah.
it just felt better.
Felt
and
better.
it's like, oh yeah, well this one might have been cleaner than the other one.
But who cares?
But who cares? This was more fun. This like fit the vibe.
It was organic.
Good
Organic's
work.
a good word.
I feel like it
Yeah.
captured our live vibe better the way we recorded it because like we don't have very strict arrangements of any of the songs we play, like general ideas of how we do them, but like none of the parts are like fully through composed.
You definitely don't play this
horn.
same. Yeah.
I
Depending on
am,
horn solo or something.
I think physically incapable of playing it the same way twice,
Yeah.
for better or worse.
I like that.
For better.
Yeah, that's always
Well-
adds a spark. So.
I think
Yeah,
that's a
the-
big part of most of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. And as you were saying that, I was like, yeah, when you're in the studio, oh my God, you're thinking, seeing dollar signs. It's like, oh, we got to get this done, and that kind of affects your creative side, I would think. Messes that up. But so, what you were just saying is, I'm curious what kind of musical background you guys have. What got you into where you are today, with training or something influenced you to be in the music business. Anybody?
That's really different for each person.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we all were kind of looking at each other like, who wants to start? Is everybody, everybody kind of.
We just go around the room.
Yeah, sure,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, let's do it.
That's fine.
That's tough.
Resumes.
Resume.
Well,
You want to start? Rick?
Game on.
Rock,
yeah.
paper, scissors.
No, I'm kidding.
Okay, I guess I'm starting.
I don't think we had that kind of time.
No. I mean, for me, I was, I was a kid, and I actually started as a drummer, and I was inspired by, my uncle and my mom played some music, and then I met a really good friend, Garrett Schmidtling, who we started, music together when we were 10, and yeah, that was about it. And just, I've been doing a ton of cover bands and stuff for years, and this has been like a great new avenue for me, doing original music with these guys, and yeah, it's pretty much.
I don't find too often, very rare, that someone didn't grow up with, either a parent or grandparent, somebody in their life that was a musician or played a lot of different types of music and exposed the kids. Very rare that doesn't, that's the case.
Sure.
So, so not unusual that you were, your parents, your mom was doing that. So
Mostly my mom.
Mostly, okay.
Yeah. And then my uncle, my dad's
Yeah,
brother,
yeah.
played drums. And I just had a lot of energy, so they're like, throw this kid behind the drums.
Do you still play the drums or no?
I do, not as much,
Oh,
but
okay.
yeah, I mean, we have two amazingly
Yeah.
talented. We always try to joke that we have so many drummers in the band that it's like everybody's kind of a drummer. So
Well, you got to keep the beat, and that's where it starts. So,
yeah.
anyone else want to jump in? Some good background of.
Go around, yeah. I started playing guitar when I was 12, and that was like I was really self-taught and sort of like musically isolated for a long time. And then I got a psychology degree from Wayne State, and I lied to the fine people in the Wayne State music office that I was a music student to get access to the piano rooms. So that's where I did most of my homework.
Oh.
I learned to play piano sort of on my own in there.
And I found you one
Yeah,
day.
and then Garrett knocked on the door one day, and then like the 2 weeks before I graduated with the psychology degree, I started playing in Garrett's jazz combo in the Wayne State music program, and I just went right back into music school after that, and then
Cool.
and
That's a
then
great story.
Left.
I love it. Do whatever you got to do to get in that room to play, right?
That's right, yeah.
So Mike's actually a terrible person,
No.
lying to departments and stuff.
Because schools never do that.
Yeah, right. Oh,
Not today.
Eric, how did you start music?
well, my entire family is musically illiterate.
Same.
Okay.
Same.
Dad, I love you, but you can't hold a tune. So I don't know. I started playing drums at the tender age of 2.5.
Oh wow.
And I don't know. I didn't get my first drum set until my freshman year of high school. But until then, I was just hanging out with my music instructors and just kind of jamming with them. It was just drums, piano, and vocals for like 8 or 9 years, just going back and forth. And they really kind of taught me, how to improvise, how to listen. And at some point, I started learning how to read music. And then I decided, I don't want to be a teacher of 5th graders. I want to go to school for music. And so I went to Wayne State for jazz studies drums, and in Mike fashion, left. But kept it going, and eventually landed with these guys. So
Cool.
yeah.
That's cool. And being that young playing drums, you can find anything to beat on, right? Just to keep to learn your craft.
Yes, unsharpened pencils from stores where teachers buy their school supplies for their kids.
Okay.
Using pencils to hit the armrest in the back seat of the car. It is amazing, I tell you.
You gotta sample that. Sample? Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, record that for one of your next songs. That'd be a cool sound on there, right?
Bet.
Now we got a credit.
Oh, gee.
Alright, so I started playing drums when I was 12, and I used to just listen to like whatever music my dad had around. So it was like a lot of classic rock. But then when I was 16, I heard John Coltrane live at Birdland, and then that was when I started to get like really serious, and I started practicing a lot of jazz. And I went to Wayne State for a jazz studies degree, which I just finished a couple days ago. And yeah, so now I just try to play as much, different music as I can.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, both of my parents are musically illiterate as well, but my dad always had on great records, a lot of stuff that was horn-based, and watched the Blues Brothers and saw Lou Marini standing on Aretha Franklin's diner counter and thought, man, that's it.
Love it.
I'm doing this forever.
And
That's great.
How old were you? Oh, let's see. I'm trying to remember that came out. So.
I wasn't.
Oh, okay.
That was in 1980.
Yeah, so,
quite
okay.
a bit before I was born.
Okay.
But I eventually found my way at Wayne State, finished an undergraduate, just finished my master's. We walked on the same day.
Good job. Wow.
Warrior strong.
And
Yeah.
I picked that one because it was the biggest, the loudest, and the lowest. That was my middle school response.
Oh yeah, the middle school ones. Okay, let's figure out what instrument you should play, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Give me the big one.
You didn't go tuba though.
No,
I played red alto saxophone for a
I've seen
Yeah.
it. I don't like it.
Cool. Well, congratulations, both you guys, getting your cap and gown weekend.
So I started studying. Well, I wouldn't say study. Yeah, studying piano and singing when I was 4, and
Wow.
from then took private lessons with Diana Munch, and from there just sort of started playing trombone as everyone chooses an instrument in middle school, and then just started picking up different genres, and then eventually went to U of M for vocal performance and started learning opera, and then some performing arts technology and sound engineering, and now I'm just lucky to be playing with all these guys.
Cool. Very cool. And Dave.
I went to school. I went to Columbia College Chicago for a jazz degree, and I also went to Wayne State to do my master's around the same time. That's where I met most of these guys, the hot horns. That was the time. We used to an iteration of this horn section used to play in the Detroit Pistons house band.
Oh, cool.
That was a fun gig. They had a stage they set up for us like in the second.
Yeah.
It was cool. But yeah, I actually started out playing guitar, and I was way into like blues, B.B. King, and Muddy Waters, and then I started playing trumpet at middle school, and got into jazz in high school, and then kind of went on from there. Yeah.
Great backgrounds. I mean, obviously, this is what you guys want to do. It's not like some bands, let's get a band together, and then they, don't do anything with it, or just play on the weekends, or a garage band type of thing. So you guys are serious musicians, which is cool. We need another song.
I was going to try and make a serious
All right, so you're going to play something from the upcoming album, you said? Okay, cool. Oh, switching places over there.
What did we decide?
Tell them.
Yeah.
Tell them how it is.
Yeah, we just talked about Chris's vocal training, so let's show it off. Let's show Chris
Yes.
Kendall, everybody.
All right.
We ain't doing that one.
We're ending with that
Switch back. Okay. What's the name of this song?
Tell me.
one. The song is called "Tell Me," written by Mike Harrison.
By Mr. Mike Harrison.
The first single released. You can find it everywhere. You can find digital music.
On Tidal.
And live.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, let's do it.
We're on all the streaming services.
No. Man, we're paying
Tidal,
money
Spotify,
for this.
iTunes,
Wait, we have to
Apple Music.
Yeah, our fans
YouTube.
can't afford Tidal.
I have Tidal.
I
Any
apologize, I
friends
don't
that
know
you
what
need,
Tidal
I'll put you
is.
on my family plan. Tidal.
Tidal.
Let's
What
get
is
it.
Tidal,
What is
guys?
Tidal?
It's a music streaming service owned by artists. And so
Oh.
it originally started to up the streaming rate per songs for artists to sort of get the market to
Nice.
meet them at a higher level to pay out. So
Awesome. Okay. Is this fairly new? I've not heard of
it's
it.
been around for I'd say about 4 to 5 years now.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so
More
major
fractions
artists,
of a
Jay-Z,
penny per
Beyonce,
stream.
Kanye,
I know-
Madonna, so many artists.
Cool. Well, I
Chris
know a lot of
Kendall.
musicians watch this show, so I'm sure there's people out there going, "Oh, Tidal, okay, yeah, good,
Yes.
good. All right, well, cool."
Get that family plan, save that money.
And here we are with our song.
Tell me all your secrets, and I will tell you mine.
promise to keep them until the end of time. And girl, you know I ain't lying. I wouldn't do that to you. So tell me how you're feeling, and I will feel it too. Promise to tell me when you're feeling blue, 'cause if that sun ain't shining through, I'll go and get it for you. But in the dead of night, it's alright to be afraid sometimes. But if you would just open your eyes, you would see a smiling face. Just waiting, 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 waiting for you. So tell me just the truth now, and I will do the same. Promise that though many things may change, girl, you know my love won't change. I'll always be here for you. You know I'll always be here for you. You know I'll always be here for you. You know I'll always be here for you. Yeah. But in the dead of night, it's alright to be afraid sometimes. But if you would just open your eyes, you would see a smiling face. Just waiting, 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 waiting for you. Tell me just the truth now, and I will do the same. Promise that though many things may change, girl, you know my love won't change. I'll always be here for you. You know I'll always be here for you. You know I'll always be here for you. You know I'll always be here for you.
Woo! Love it. Great. Good stuff. When do you, well, you want to have this out before your May 31st event, so it will be available soon. Okay, cool.
Well, that
Oh,
song
this
is
single is
already
actually
available.
already
out.
We
Oh,
have-
okay.
We have 2 singles out right now.
Okay.
And the rest of the album will be out by the release show.
Okay,
at
cool.
Blind
Full
Pig.
length or E EP?
I guess this is going to be a full length. Yeah, it's going to be like 10 tracks.
Awesome.
One track is kind of like an interlude track, which we're actually going to end the show with. Very excited on that. One's kind of an interlude track that gets split up like 3 ways, kind of like a, I don't know, like a James Brown, like recall, like, groove jam. I don't know.
Something to help tie it together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
It starts the record, it'll show up in the middle, and it's kind of the last thing you'll hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You mentioned James Brown. You guys, someone said you guys do an impression of James Brown. Is that?
Do it in the mic here.
I said,
Sorry, Ryan.
Yeah.
yeah, sorry.
Blew out. Yeah, blew out. Ryan back there doing engineering.
Board.
And Annie running the cameras. All right, we're going to do a Pam exam.
Oh man.
Oh no.
I've heard so much about this.
Yes.
Just random. Yeah, just random questions. And if you don't want to answer, don't feel like you have to. So
Plead the fifth.
I don't want to put anyone on the spot, obviously. And there's plenty of you, so.
Sure.
I think one of those
Answers to go around.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. All right, if time and money didn't matter, what would you be doing?
This.
Traveling and playing music. That would be
Pretty much.
numero uno. I mean, traveling as much as possible, seeing as
Yeah.
much of the world as you possibly can, and bringing an instrument with you.
Yeah,
to go
bonus
out.
if you can play somewhere.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
Yeah.
that's fun. Why did you laugh like that? You just,
that's the
I mean,
because that is the answer. Like that's it. Like why are we here otherwise?
that's true. That's true.
Win change.
Do you have anyone else want to answer that or no?
Yeah, that's it.
Michael bake bread.
It's the only thing I care about.
He would actually be a housewife. He does a really good impression. I've got a great
I make a great
image of
lasagna,
him.
a great
Him in
challah
that
bread,
apron.
rated.
Interesting. Okay. So you feed when you're on the road. You feed the gang.
Oh no, they do not deserve it.
No, we get Rick.
He didn't even grill at the session. I manned the grill at the session.
Rick was cooking.
Rick was cooking at the session.
Cooking out.
That's because Rick was awake in the morning.
Yeah.
Not even a loaf of bread, really?
I'm a sleepy
Please,
boy.
sir, may I have some more? Do you have a quirk or a pet peeve?
I mean, we have like a lot of those. How much time you got?
In regards to quirks, we have a lot of quirks.
I feel like the majority of us, our personalities are defined by like an amalgam of quirks more than not.
Okay, don't want to share. I see.
I'm
Well, that's a tough one. That's hard because we all of us kind of have our own like. I'm sure that we could all do impressions of each other and like of the different quirks that we have, which we don't. Too many things, Chris Kendall.
Yeah, for example, Chris always has like 12 or 13 things in his hands when he walks into a room.
Yeah.
And he's always like,
He's always
bumbling
like
down the stairs.
he's like, hey, Ray, hold
through
this.
doors.
Hey, guys.
Hey, can you hold this for me?
Just hold that for him, Ray.
Okay.
You know,
I got a
me-
pet peeve.
yeah.
I got a pet peeve.
Yeah.
Anytime people use the word jazzy, I'm just like that doesn't mean anything
second
anymore.
that.
Can we just let's all just agree collectively to stop doing that as a society? We're ready.
I can hang with that.
Okay.
People think
I
everything
agree with
is jazz, even when it's not.
Well, because everything is though.
What you gonna do?
Mind blown.
What you gonna
That is
do?
a genuine like.
When everything is jazz, nothing is jazz.
Yeah.
I always like to say like jazz is an approach to music more than a genre of music, because like, I mean, if someone hears like "Bitches Brew" by Miles Davis and thinks they don't like jazz, and then other people hear like a Duke Ellington like big band Ella singing arrangement, and they're like, "That's what jazz is." And then like Frank Sinatra is jazz to a lot of people, and so like when people say like jazzy, it's frustrating because you don't have any context for what they might actually want to hear.
Everybody has their own
Yeah.
definition.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's a really dumb word at the end of the day. I can say that as someone who has gotten 2 degrees in this subject. It's a really,
accredited
dumb
position.
word because I'll say it. I don't care who I piss off, but like it's because here's why. This is well thought out because because jazz can be 1920s Louis Armstrong and also 1970, like Miles Davis free, jazz with, bass clarinet and Rhodes and like all of these insane sounds. It could be something entirely different. And it's, fit into so many like things. Jazz invented the drum set. A lot of people don't know that. Yeah, like
Really?
the drum set was because jazz musicians made it because it used to be like a guy on a bass drum, a guy on a cymbal, and a guy on a snare drum.
They're
And
just
then
trying to make more money.
They're trying to make more money, pay less guys.
One guy does that.
Now one guy with a keyboard takes all of our jobs. But like that's
right.
but like so that's the thing. It's like it spreads over so many years, over 100 years, more than that. So like. And we're sitting here trying to define it and say this is what jazz is moot at this point. I don't.
Well,
see the point.
it probably goes back to, when the record store is like, what, we need something to file these bands under or these artists under. And I'm sure that was part of it too. And that's what a lot of times people, when they can't get categorized, well, of course, there's no more record stores that have to deal with that as much anymore. But that was a thing. It's like we need to know where to put these people. And that was a big part of labeling. They had to label it almost.
Similar
people like to classify things.
Yeah. Similar
Yes.
catch-all
Yeah.
to like world music, just doesn't mean
What does that mean?
anything.
Yeah.
I've been wanting that for years, man.
Yeah. All right. Most memorable music moment. Ooh.
Ooh, Panama. Yeah, that was pretty.
For at least
Are you talking about the Van Halen song?
Nope.
I mean,
Yeah.
the first time I heard that, come on, man.
That I know exactly where I was. No, Garrett and I a few years back with Wayne State and a few pros from Detroit and from kind of other places in the world went down to Panama to play at the Panama Jazz Festival.
Oh.
It was such a formative experience. It was so cool. We also got to do some clinics, and so we hung out with some of the Panamanian kids who wanted to learn jazz, and so we gave classes.
Like 5 hours a day.
Yeah, like 5 hours a day. Yeah.
They had us broken up individually. They said, all right, well, Garrett, you're going to do a saxophone thing at this hour. Dave's going to do trumpet, and then our friend Evan was going to do piano. And we were like, I don't have anything prepared for this. What am I supposed to do? So we all just kind of hung out as a band and just sort of switched rooms.
Yeah.
People would cycle in and out, and we would just...
It was really cool. We had a translator with us.
Oh.
Yeah, so you would have to speak in sentences. So this is a quarter note. This is but it was
Very basic.
But the kids there were so excited, and they really just wanted to know. They soaked up everything that you were talking about. I've gone to high schools here in America who could care less about whatever it was I was
Middle
talking
schoolers
about.
I teach on a weekly basis.
Yeah, right. Well, and not every kid is really into music who takes music class.
Yeah.
Which is what it is, and I'm not mad at somebody for not being into something if they're in school and forced to be there or whatever. But
Right.
but these kids were so about it, and they were just so excited for music in general.
Yeah.
There just seemed to be a larger appreciation.
Well,
as
the
a
whole country.
like in that country.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Can I share a memorable music moment? I
Absolutely.
was just trying to think of of the spectrum of gigs that we all have and the way that they are memorable. I think mine was I did a Christmas gig. It was a solo piano gig that I got, and I was at a mac and cheese restaurant, seated directly next to the trash can. Like I could. It was my keyboard actually overhung the trash can a little bit.
Oh,
and,
the one that's not there anymore?
I hope so. but it was 3 hours, and I did not take a break, which is a bad idea. And nobody was really into it, which was, of course, because it's not a space to have that. But there was a group of gospel singers that came from, I think, a gig because they were all wearing similar outfits, and they came in, and I started. I was playing like a gospel-y version of a Christmas song, and then they started singing Amazing Grace to it, and then it just became like a gospel choir singing Amazing Grace, and it was just amazing. And then they just all left, and then it was back to
The garbage can and you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the name of the album.
Garbage can. We are trying to think of our album name, and
Can't decide.
I think
Cabin Fever Dream.
the more spontaneous moments are the ones that are memorable.
Yeah.
For me, whenever I travel, I try, at some point to try to go out and play in public or go to an open mic or just play on the street. And I think I went to South by Southwest. I don't know, probably 4 or 5 years ago now, and I went down there with a group, a buddy of mine, Steve Banks and Patrick Whitehead, playing a gig, and we were waiting for the venue to open, and it was the morning, so we just set up the drums that I had in the parking lot, and Patrick, keyboard player, had a melodica with him. So we started playing, jamming in the street, and from a mile away, a random violin player ended up showing
Sniffed
up.
you out.
Sniffed us out, and he happened to be doing, and this is, I think it was a Periscope. It was a live stream, and he's walking around, and he said, I hear drums, and he starts walking towards, because he shared us the video with us later. He just happened to hear the drums and came with us and just sat in, and we played on the street together for an hour, and then we parted ways, and we exchanged info.
True definition of jamming.
And
Just
he is,
jamming.
it was incredible. So I think moments like that, where you're not expecting or trying to to really
Well, and
create
it's-
something. It just happens.
And it's cool that, as a musician, I mean, you know your craft, so just you can jump in
Sure.
and just all of a sudden
like
you're
this
playing with someone
language
you've
that-
never played with before.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is cool. That would be good.
Pam, if I may.
Yeah.
Real quick, sorry.
You may. No, no.
Mike made me think of something,
Okay.
and I never would have thought of this had you not brought it up. So this
garbage
was no the gospel singers at the mac and cheese restaurant with the piano hanging over the garbage can. Just wanted to repeat that in case anybody missed it earlier. Okay, so several years ago, I was in a rock band that formed with a really good bass player friend of mine, and his cousin, who was the son of the pastor of this church, passed abruptly. He was in his early 20s.
Oh, wow.
So anyway, they had the funeral homegoing service for him, and they asked our rock band to play at the funeral. And so we get to this Baptist church on the east side of Detroit, and the song that we were going to play was "Welcome Home" by Coheed and Cambria, which is one of the songs that we covered. And I have to say, our lead singer, his face when he got literally the whole church to do the "oh, oh," he had the whole choir and the whole church doing that, and he was flabbergasted. And honestly, I was like, I don't understand why you're making such a big deal out of this. And I didn't realize it until years later. I was like, wow, you got a whole Baptist church to sing "Welcome Home" by Coheed and Cambria. That is really impressive. We did that shit, man. It was spontaneous, but it was so rad. I just had to share that.
Yeah. Kind of little goosebumps on that one. That was cool.
For real.
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
think one of my favorite music moments wasn't actually as a performer. I was coming down to Detroit and going to the Detroit Electronic Music Festival movement, and being able to see everything down at Hart Plaza, just going early college, end of high school, and being able to see all the different electronic acts with the visualization and the lights, and just being able to see artists up close. I thought it was just such an enriching experience, and
It is a cool. Yeah, we have some cool stuff down here. That was definitely one of them. All right, I don't have much time. All right, best advice you were ever given.
do what you love every day.
And you'll never have to work a day in your life.
Mine was at a guitar store, and I was playing an acoustic guitar, trying to play like a Robert Johnson blues thing, because that was the only thing I cared about before bread. And the guy came up. I was trying to pick up all the most expensive guitars because of course, I was like 13. I was like, I'm gonna play the fanciest ones. And the guy an old dude brought me like the cheapest guitar they had. And he sat down and got like super serious with me. I wish I could remember the exact word to use, but essentially told me like, don't spend more than $1,000 on a guitar until you can make a $100 guitar sound like a $1,000 guitar.
Oh, cool.
And it made me realize it's more about practicing than equipment.
Yeah, you have to know. Well, they always say if you can just play one single instrument with your vocal and you sound good, then you're a good musician. You don't need all this extra. $1,000 guitar probably sounds a little better, but like you said, I love that. That's great. Great advice. Anyone else?
Yeah, I was talking to one of my teachers about like using exercises to like generate material, or like what we practice in that process. And I was talking about being more selective and like trying to only work on things that I felt would like have a practical benefit. And he said, well, who are you to determine what that is? He said, you're on the path right now, and we have to do a lot of things that have no clear return, but we just do them because it's part of that process. And he said, you're on the path, and the path kind of sucks, but you have to do these things, and you never know what's going to come back around and what's going to benefit you.
Interesting. Yeah. And then that can apply to everything, not just music.
Oh,
pretty
totally.
much. Yeah. Good advice. Anyone else have a thing or? Okay. If you had to share a 15-minute taxi ride with someone, who would that be? They could be dead or alive.
Dennis Rodman. For sure.
What would you want to know from him?
How is he what goes through his head every day. You know,
I want him to just be Dennis Rodman in
Just-
real
yeah.
time and in front of me for 15 minutes.
That would be an interesting conversation.
Yeah. We recently released a single and wacky video dedicated solely to Dennis Rodman, so you guys should check it out.
What's the name of the song?
It's called The Worm. Yeah, we're not gonna
Of
play that
course.
one today.
We don't have the time.
We
We don't have enough time. We
We
don't.
don't have the time.
Anyone else?
Christopher Walken.
Oh, that would be another good one. Yeah.
Just love just to be Christopher Walken. Just like Sean said, I just do whatever it is you do when you're existing, and I want to be there.
That would be a crazy ride, I would think. You know,
Yeah.
just pretty funny and.
I'm not gonna do a Christopher Walken impression, but you know. Is that Sean's like, that's a pet peeve of mine when you don't do Christopher Walken impressions.
When you're talking about him.
I mean, I wasn't gonna say that, but like, maybe I am now.
He just seems like a really interesting dude. You know, never turns down a role if he can do it.
Yeah.
Mine would be Dave doing a Christopher Walken impression for 15 minutes.
Whoa!
Whoa.
Oh, you guys are funny. Oh my gosh. All right. Oh, I'm going to skip some of these just because you've answered or we've already gone. All right. Okay, one last one here. What is your go-to song to sing in the shower?
I Wish You Love by Frank Sinatra and Count Basie. That's one of the greatest albums. It Might As Well Be Swing is one of my favorite albums of all time. It's Frank Sinatra recording the most swinging singer of all time with the most swinging big band of all time, and that song is just, it sounds good because, you know, it's like, goodbye, no use leading with our chins, this is where the story ends. It's like such a, like, this orchestra, you know, thing, you know. Never lovers, ever friends. And the string arrangement,
You guys must be to invite you to a party would be a good idea.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah.
Anybody.
We are available for parties.
Okay, there you go. Oh my gosh. We need another song.
All right.
Is it time to move it?
Oh yeah, you
time to
you
move it.
guys are gonna switch
Yeah, now
now?
you're going to switch.
Oh, okay. I didn't even notice.
Those sneaky drummers.
Sneaky, yes. All right, and the name of this one is.
Well,
I think we'll let that explain itself.
Okay,
yeah, I think so.
no problem. All right.
But Pam, at first we need a little help. You need to help with us, yeah. I think that's what's up.
Come on in the control room.
Oh yeah, guys. Ryan and Amy. Sitting down grooving with us. Strictly fine. Yeah.
love it. Love it. Oh, you guys sounds great. That was-
Yes. The title and the lyrics. Also, yeah. Directions.
Direction there. Oh, good stuff. All right, so we're looking forward to the new album coming out very soon, a few weeks.
Few weeks.
And
Singles out. We have 2 singles out right now. You can get them
Okay.
on. You can check it out on Tidal, Spotify,
Yeah.
any of the streaming services.
YouTube,
Yep, YouTube for sure.
Live
Check
Wire.
out the new
Videos,
video
MySpace.
that just dropped for The Worm. It is. Make sure
LimeWire.
Dennis Rodman sees it. He needs to see it because we love him very much.
Napster.
We love you, Dennis Rodman.
Hopefully you tagged him.
Oh, many times.
Endlessly.
I'm starting to become very annoying to him, I think.
All right, so someone wants to follow you, find you. What's the best way?
We are on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all as Strictly Fine, at Strictly Fine.
wait.
Sorry, the Twitter's
The
different.
Twitter is strictly_fine.
Yes.
Remember that.
Okay. Okay.
Everything else is at strictly fine. That's Facebook, Instagram.
Because you guys
YouTube,
don't have a
whatever else.
website, I don't think, at this point.
No, we don't have a .com per
Okay.
se,
Okay.
but we have content.
We have a
for
.bandcamp.com.
Oh, yes. Yes, you can get the
And
first
find
album on
Bandcamp.
Bandcamp.
You can
Yeah,
give us
everything's out there.
money.
Shirts coming soon. Show them the shirt. Show them the shirt.
Oh.
Detroit's own apparel.
where are we
Thanks,
looking?
Jared.
Well, there's a camera here and one there.
Camera.
Camera.
Camera there.
90% cotton, 10% polyester.
90
It's gonna
PC.
feel just real soft and good for you.
It's
Nice,
Nice.
gray look.
Very
We're gonna
nice.
come out with a few different colors.
They are $100.
They're not
$100.
So,
$100 if you want to pay $100.
so are you? Do
Yeah,
you
there's
guys
the option
have,
for more.
Oh, sorry. Do you have a festival set up? Are you going to be for the summer? Any of those yet? Because you guys would be perfect on a lot of the festivals we have around here.
Yes, we
There's
would.
some
You should
applications
tell
out.
everybody
We're
else
waiting.
that, too, yeah.
There are
We're waiting to
applications
hear
out.
back from some.
Okay.
Yeah, you should tell the festivals what you just said.
Yeah.
Well, it has been a pleasure, guys. Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
Cut in. Okay. Thank you so much for coming in. It has been a real treat.
Thanks
really.
for having us.
Yeah.
We apologize for the shenanigans.
Oh no!
We have a lot
Don't
of them.
apologize. I love it.
I do not
Yeah, the
apologize.
personalities.
As the leader of this group, I do not apologize.
As the leader of this group, forget what he said.
No, it just it makes my job
Mike's
easier.
views
I
do
just
not
love
reflect.
it. No, it's been great. You guys are fantastic. You guys are really good. You know, kudos to all of you and and what you do and your talent. So
Thank you.
I see you going up for sure. Good stuff. So congratulations. Thanks for coming in. It's always been a pleasure.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we had a blast.
For sure. So, and thanks to all of you out there watching. We
Thank you,
appreciate
everyone
that.
listening. Forgot that there are people listening.
Camera here, camera
Control
there.
room. Y'all rock.
Until next week, we do this again with another band. So thank you so much for tuning in to Behind the Mic. I'm Pam Rossi. Have a great week.